Hello, everybody. I have been hard at work. I have built a cruiser. In fact, I've built a very heavy cruiser. It's a very, very expensive cruiser, and for what it's worth, it's probably not the best cruiser in the world, but I have given it my best try for now, and we can improve it as we go along. But look at this thing. I mean, I don't mean to toot my own trumpet, right? I am really happy with how this looks. This has 9 220mm cannons. These fire each at 33 rounds per minute, so about half a second reload on each of these 9 barrels. We got a couple of 120mm secondaries. These are close-in weapon systems, but they will shoot at planes with a higher priorities. They'll stop being close-in weapon systems if there's planes to shoot down. That's the idea. And we got a laser defense system, couple of torpedoes there on the front. They're very, very big and very expensive, but they do tear apart enemy ships, as well as a little vertical launch missile system at the back here. Now, a lot of people have requested that I show the building process just a little bit more, which is something that would be really, really nice to do. Unfortunately, I don't really, because this game takes so long to build things, I struggle to talk over it as I go. So what I've done is I have saved this at different stages of the build, and what we'll do is we'll go through those different stages, and I can talk through a bit of the design process and why I did things the way I did, and inevitably you can say that's a terrible idea and give me better suggestions in the comment section below. But that's all of that out of the way. Let's have a look at the stages of construction of this thing. Okay, so first up, we started with just the general hull shape. As you can see here, it is very blocky. If we go from the front here, you can see it only really starts curving into the traditional hull shape very, very low down. What this gives me is this massive space here for all of the turrets to go into, and I've tried to do spaced armor and stuff. Eventually, the inside walls here get replaced with heavy armor because it's just that looks like a lot of armor in my head. That's 2 meters of metal with a gap and then a meter of light alloy. Nope, that's not enough armor in this game. So, these are things that I've got to learn, and generally speaking, you need 4, 5, 6 meters of armor to stop a big cram shell. That said, eventually, I think I kind of got there. It's fairly survivable. It still sometimes detonates, I can't lie, but the firepower is adequate, I guess. People are going to disagree, but there you go. And at this point in time, we did have a very basic bit of AI, a bit of movement, and all that stuff, but it wasn't really working very well. So next, we added a bit of cannonage to this one, as it just falls from the sky there. So this was me just kind of playing around with the cannons, and at this point in time, they were 203s. The reason I changed from a 203 to a 220 was just because 203 is such an awkward number for the munition scaling. It was adding one more module, put it over a 2-meter shell, and that's the length of shell rack that we have in here. We have 2-meter shells, and removing any was not really a question, so I put it up to the maximum that this number of components would allow me to, while being a nice round number. It ended up on 220mm. If I just pop up one of these turrets here, I've got the B turret here saved, you can see how this all goes together. Now this has been changed so that it looks more like this on the armor front, so these are a little bit better defended than they were when you saw this, so don't worry about that. You can see how the 3 cannons tessellate through here. Thank you, people in my Discord, for assisting me with this process. It's really weird how the autoloaders work sometimes, the way that you need to have the specific number of clips, otherwise it reduces load. I still don't really know, to be entirely honest. But I'm learning. I gave it a good go at first, and people basically said, you suck, and you should feel bad. And so I did it again, but better this time. They didn't say it like that, I swear. But, yeah, you can see the very start of the superstructure. There's a laser system in here. different bits and bobs going on as I went through it. And then the superstructure got put on, which, when it was in this state, looks so different to how it does now. I don't know whether that's the camouflage textures or just the extra bits of detail that we've got here and there, but this doesn't feel right, you know? Without, like, the railings on the side, I don't think that helps. But, yeah, this is the first time where the ship felt almost complete. Like, it's very bland at this point in time, but it is kind of there. There's not really a lot functionally to say about this stage, as it's mostly visual. I did use a couple of decorations for, like, the first time I've been playing around with how these work. I don't know if I'll ever get to the point of, like, doing entire hulls with this, but you can see we got a nice little curve on the back here using them. I'd like to use them a little bit more in the future. Once again, still learning. But, yep, that's the superstructure. And this is pretty much the finished product, minus a couple of very expensive tweaks. So we don't have the torpedoes, we don't have any shields. The engine is quite a lot like less protected in this version, and we don't have the energy backup. You can see on the one that we started the episode with, we had a load and load of energy. That's if you do happen to lose the steam engine, it has an electric engine to kind of bide you over so that you don't just sink, basically. Not sink, but like the energy is used to help stabilize the craft a little bit, and if you do lose all of that, you can start leaning quite heavily, and once you lean a certain degree over, obviously these cannons with the elevation mantlets, they can only aim yay far down. So yeah, the engine's there as a backup, and I think this is the first time that I was happy with how this really looked. You can just see I've added some float plane catapults at the back here. Somebody's been desperately asking me to do float plane. I would quite like to build one, and then I could connect this as the mothership and use them in battle, but for now we don't have a float plane, so they're just decorative. But eventually maybe we'll get there, we'll see. And that brings us finally to the finished product, which I called the Erowick, just because, I don't know, people name cruisers after locations, and Erowick is where we are at our campaign. So you can see here, Erowick, that is the island that we are pretty close to, and where we've just conquered a bunch of land off the Deepwater Guard. So, Erowick class cruiser, I guess. I'll probably continue when I go on, like, naming our battleships and stuff after the locations that we're currently fighting. That seems like a pretty reasonable thing to do, but yeah. Here is the heavy cruiser. I don't know how many resources we have in the campaign, whether we're going to be able to afford one of these things, but it's definitely going to be nice to have against the Onyx Watch, because I've done some testing with this thing, and it can defeat the Bulwark, which I think is quite a strong one. It's obviously not the strongest. Oh my god, we're not going to beat one of them. We probably also wouldn't. I don't know, we might beat an Erie. I don't really know. I might do a little bit more testing and seeing what we can do, but this thing is pretty pricey for what it is. I can't lie. 620,000 materials is a lot of materials, and I don't know that it's entirely worth it for how effective it is. That's just my little admission there. I think it is probably quite bad for that amount of resources, to be entirely honest. But oh well, I keep saying it, I am still learning this game, so eventually we'll get there. You gotta be understanding with me, man. I don't know what I'm doing. But that's the new heavy cruiser. Hopefully we can get it into the campaign soon. Okay, we're back in the campaign. We have, so last time we wiped out the Deepwater Guard. Now they're gone. We took a fair bit of the territory. Most importantly, we took 2 of the 3 resource zones that were up for grabs. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to grab this one up here. The Lightning Hoods were, I mean, they were really quick, and they had a lot of ships. They've been sending pretty big stuff. I saw a couple of Gigawatts. That one's not too big. That's not a great example. I can't lie, but we only got 6 minutes until the council meeting. We have got 4 ships now. We've got 1 more destroyer that I just built at the home base. That's coming over now. And then we've got our cruiser here. as well as the 2 destroyers that we had in the last video. So we just got to name these. So I'm just going to go to the old YouTube membership page and steal some names. Okay, so going once again in order of the longest time as a super member, we've got Cam Jam and we've got Seafort. Obviously, Peter Seafort, who is a super member. So there you go. There's our 4 named ships. And in theory, these lot should be able to just wipe out the Onyx Watch without too much difficulty. Who I'm a little bit more concerned about would be the Lightning Hoods, but I have tried against a couple of Lightning Hoods craft, a couple of them hard counterers. A couple of them we can defeat, so it's kind of going to be on a case-by-case basis whether we can beat the Lightning Hoods, but let's see who we end up fighting against, because ultimately it's not going to be up to us, it's going to be up against this council meeting. And somewhat unfortunately, it's looking like there's not a huge amount of options here that aren't going to involve us going to war with either basically everyone or the Lightning Hoods. So it's probably going to have to be the Lightning Hoods here. We could join this massive war, but I don't think I have enough materials to really deal with a war on multiple fronts at the moment. I'm not a huge fan of the idea of fighting the Lightning Hoods, I can't lie, because, yeah, I don't think our weapons are the best against them. But we're gonna have to pick it, and we're gonna have to deal with it, so there you go. Okay, so the biggest problem with the Lightning Hoods here, and it's going to be an immediate problem and not a later problem, is they have really fast vessels, and our ships are over here. Our front line is over here. We don't have anything to defend ourselves with at the moment, so what we may have to do, and I don't know if I like this, is build a couple of stupid missile versions of the Chunko and just kind of see if we can't hold off until the ships get here, because we don't have a lot else going on. Okay, we are getting attacked here by a Solaris. That is, yeah, 128,000 materials. I can't lie, we don't stand much of a chance with the missile versions here, but we don't have our ships yet, so we don't really have too much of a choice in the matter. We're gonna have to just kind of do this. Now, I don't believe the large missiles are fully functional at the moment. I don't even know if we have enough materials to fire them. This could be a slight problem. I don't really know why they're not firing. I would quite like them to fire, but instead they appear to just not want to. I think it might be something fail-safe. This is not a good showing of the missile craft. Where is my other one? Is that already dead? What? I had 2. Did I not? Am I going crazy? Did they both die that quickly? They didn't even fire. Goodness sakes. That's not good. I can't lie. I don't see this one going particularly well for us. Oh, my ships are so far away from being able to do anything. This is so ridiculous. Oh no. I tried out of desperation to throw some missiles on this so I could get at least one shot off, which, looking at it, might have been enough with the size of this thing, but yeah, we didn't get to fire in time. They didn't load quickly enough. The ships are almost here. Currently, the enemies are absolutely wreaking havoc, but hopefully we can at least put up a little fight here. The Solaris I'm a little bit scared of because it is so quick. We don't really have a huge amount to deal with that, but we should, in theory, be able to do something now that we have the ships here. Just one lucky shot maybe should do it. We got some pretty hefty heat shells, so we can hope. Okay, here is the very first test of our light. Oh no, I've put the light cruiser on the lowest priority. I forgot what I named which, so I set the priority wrong. Hopefully, though, these missiles can do some work. We've got a lot of fire damage going on board. Actually, to be fair, these fire missiles might have been a pretty good bet versus this creature? This creation, because they just need to hit once and they'll keep doing tick damage. So there's a little internal explosion there on board the Solaris. It is a very small craft. There goes another explosion. So we should win this without too much trouble. I'm just hoping it doesn't do too much damage back so that we kind of at least make up the materials that we're spending on this fight. It very much looks like it's out of play already, and yep, that's a pretty good win. Please don't ram each other. Please don't ram each other. That would be awkward. Okay, not too bad. That was just a little craft. I'm more scared of the gigawatts that I've seen around. Those are a lot bigger. Okay, this is the first test of our heavy cruiser. In theory, this shouldn't be too bad at all. Though it is quite quick, so we might struggle to initially hit it, but once we do, yep, that's kind of just falling apart. There's so many shots going absolutely everywhere. We might want to look into getting some slightly larger, not larger, but faster munitions to deal with the lightning hoods, because some of the larger enemies are going to be much, much harder to kill than that. There are so many attacks coming from the lightning hoods right now. They are sending many, many, many units after us. We may have to look into getting something along the lines of a second fleet going to actually deal with these guys, because we just don't really have enough map control to stop them from getting in. So maybe if we put the heavy cruiser and one destroyer and then a fleet of 2 destroyers, we can cover a little bit more ground, but we will run into the problem of if there is something that we can't defeat with the light cruisers, that's definitely a possibility. And this guy has just burned his way into space, which is probably not going to be good for him, I can't lie. I thought there was something else that was meant to be spawning in, but I don't see it. Okay, sure, just the Solaris. We dealt with these before. But I think we're going to have to divide the force here. We're going to take these two, and they're going to push in, and then we're going to take these two, merge them into their own fleet, and we're going to have a force that moves north here, tries to take out this here base from the lightning hoods, and then we should, in theory, be able to have a little bit more map control, maybe, because we don't have any at the moment. Okay, we've also got a new destroyer here, the Holmes, which is just gonna have to join up with these two, I think. And instead of having ships with new weapons, we're just gonna have lots of ships with older weapons. Which is, I guess, that's fine. We're also going to send over this cargo vehicle to resupply here. I do have a bit of a control block issue on the cruiser at the moment. I need to fix that. And also, I need to swap the armor around. Currently, it's alloy on the outside, metal on the inside. I thought it would have the same effect as metal on the outside, alloy on the inside, but apparently you want metal outside, alloy inside, turns out. So I've just built the whole hull wrong, and the only way to fix that is like so many hours of work. So I know you can use the replace tool, but it's going to replace like everything, and I can't have... Yeah, no, it's just going to be a lot of work to replace that. So I will eventually probably do that if I can be bothered. We'll see. It'll probably end up coming back to bite me before I know it, let's face it. Okay, I think this is a new one, the Volta. I don't think we fought one of these before, but this isn't too big, so I think we should be okay again. It's a ship, which means it's probably a hydrofoil, if I had to guess, and it's definitely looking that way. That is seriously quick. We're probably not going to score any hits with the main guns here. The kinetic missiles are just running out of range, but the incendiary missiles are perfectly hitting home. Ooh, we actually did get a hit with the main guns there, which is unexpected. Come on, there we go. We're getting a couple now. There, it's got a little bit too close for its own good, and AI dead. That is a really cool little craft, and is that gonna... Oh no, the torpedoes. Okay, they went for... they went for debris. I thought that would have been a little bit overkill if we'd hit them with those torpedoes. Where are you going? Oh gosh. Pull. They do have friend or foes. I just don't trust them. Just a vessel of the enemy's trade fleet, so this probably won't put up much of a fight, if any. I don't see any weapons immediately on it. I imagine it has something, unless it's relying entirely on its speed. Oh yeah, look, there's a tiny, what looks to be a little missile launcher in there. Isn't that cute? Except it's going to probably end up being set on fire and burning to death, which is not quite as cute, to be entirely honest. It's actually kind of sad. That's quite the contrast between the two design styles. I really need to fix the engines on this thing. Actually, I might do that now because I've set up the control block slightly wrong. So our engines are currently off. Don't worry about that. Who would win? 2 Chunkos or 1 Tempest? I really don't want to lose these Chunkos, but my fleet couldn't get there in time, so unfortunately I don't have a choice. They're going to die. They're made of wood. They have lasers. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we did lose the Chunkos, but we have managed to get the Tempest into a fight, which does mean we can hopefully enact our revenge here, because revenge is sorely needed for the crimes that were committed against the Chunkos. How dare you! Yep, those kinetic missiles are just tearing a hole clean through the center of that thing. And it's done for. Nice. I want to see something a little bit bigger, though. They keep sending just little raiding craft against me. Okay, we were trying to raid a convoy, but we've managed to get the enemy fortress into range as well. I don't know how this is going to work, because they're in a little bay on the center of this island, and we are all the way out here. But for once, that's a target we can hit, so hopefully we have a pretty good chance of taking this thing out, and the frame rate is a little bit on the dotty side. That is an interesting looking base, and it looks like they've got some basic missile systems. Don't really see much else in the way of defenses, so fingers crossed. It's not too tough to take this thing out. It's got some shields, but we might just be able to work our way through those. I imagine, to be fair, we're probably also... No, we're not currently shooting at the current. Do we need to shoot at it, though? Because it's just a cargo craft. It doesn't really pose much of a threat. In come the missiles. Those aren't going to be stopped by any old shields. And they'll probably take the shields out eventually. Maybe? I thought that was the shield there, but no, that's just detection systems. That makes more sense. Looks like the shields are struggling a little bit more now. I'm seeing a few shots that aren't hitting it, or maybe they're just going under it. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. I'm trying to provide valuable commentary. Maybe I should just not bother. Just watch it burn instead. Yeah. I'm wondering where their gigawatts are, because I definitely saw a couple of gigawatts. Oh, AI dead on that thing. And soon enough, we should take back this resource zone that would rightfully have been ours had we been given a little bit longer to take this area. Also, one of the destroyers lost their name somehow there, but it was the Holmes. There you go. It is now correctly named. Please do not riot. Okay, we are deep in the heart of Lightning Hood's territory now. You can see we're at the very edge of their radius, and that was hiding just outside of view. Okay, it's not too quick, only 34 meters a second, so hopefully we do okay here. I think, for the sake of my computer, I'm not going to turn this battle all the way up, so what this is going to mean is it's us versus them initially, and there is a lot of distance in this fight at the moment. They are all the way over there. Is that a submarine? And is that, more importantly, A ramming submarine. Oh dear. Right. I'm not sure that I have entirely got what it takes to defeat that. I do have some pretty hefty torpedoes, but that is genuinely terrifying. Maybe at close range our shells can get underwater enough to take on this thing, but that is a very, very tall order. We have a long distance to deal with it because it has spawned a long way away and it isn't particularly quick. And we do have our underwater massive torpedoes, which should be coming in at some point soon. I really, really, really need to set a range limit on those those kinetic missiles because they are just wasting materials right now. And these are realistically the hope that we rest our laurels on, that we can take out this submarine, because otherwise we're going to be in trouble. These guys are just fighting for space at the moment. We look like we're doing a little tiny bit of flak damage somehow. I don't really know how that works, but I'm willing to take it, to be entirely honest. Anything that we can get at this moment in time. These are trying to lead the target, but they're doing, honestly, a pretty poor job. Those have managed to miss. Okay, if they... Nope. Okay, I was going to say if they loop around, we might do a little bit better, but no luck. We've got another set of them on their way. Please, you should have an APN guidance. You should be leading your target a little bit. Oh, they're doing such a terrible job, but these ones aren't. Come on, a little bit lower. You just despawned. That is really unfortunate. Is that their torpedoes or is that our torpedoes? I think that might be their torpedoes. Okay. I don't like the sound of this, but our shells are hitting these torpedoes. They're terrible. They're terrible at going for underwater targets. Okay, we're learning something about our torpedoes, that they can barely hit submarines. Our kinetic missiles, however, are just charging clean through the water and hitting this vessel, even though it's not designed to happen like that. Can we do anything now to shut this thing's weapons down before it reaches us, because that is gonna do serious damage. If I just take control here... No, we want to kind of... Oh, there's nothing we can do now. This is just gonna hit, and there's not a lot I can do about it. Oh, no. This is terrible. This is actually terrible. We might lose the ship here. We don't have anything to deal with that underneath us. Yeah, that's an absolute disaster. It's out for the count. That is just completely annihilating us, and we have nothing we can do against it. What we can do is we can do our best to fight this flyer, because we can still take manual control here. Hopefully, we can at least still be in this fight through our own input. And if I just set all of the weapons to fire, we might be able to take it out. This is the worst thing that could have possibly happened. No. Oh, this is such an unfortunate fight to happen. I didn't even consider the possibility of our torpedoes not being able to hit submarines properly, but there you go. It's happened. Damn it. Okay, we're now becoming a submarine of our own. We are going to fire everything at that submarine in the hopes that our little destroyer over there can take out the flyer, and then we might just be able to limp back home. We don't have a mainframe, I don't believe, that's working at the moment, so that is... Yeah, that's pretty bad, I can't lie. That's quite an important aspect of these ships. If I go for the front here, might be able to take out the main... Not the mainframe, or the weapon controller at least, because these are particle cannon rams. I know what they are, I just didn't prepare for them. Okay, particle cannon rams are gone. All we need to do now is finish this thing off, which might be easier said than done, to be entirely honest. Oh, What a shame. I mean, we look like we should win the fight, but at what cost? I'm sure my shame in the comments section, definitely. People are not going to let me live this one down. I'd actually say right now it's not sinking. It's floating a little bit too much for what it's meant to be, because it is a submarine, and it's currently not floating. So, no, not underwater. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Ultimately, we've taken a lot of damage, and it's going to cost us a lot of materials. But we have won the fight, and we know where to go from here. It's not that we fought a target that we had no idea what went wrong. We have a very obvious weak spot that has just been exploited by the enemies, and they've just carved a hole clean through, obviously, the weakest part of our craft, which is the underside. Yeah, that's our backup AI there. That's not the main one. But, yeah, that's a little unfortunate. We're just going to have to limp back home. Okay, repairs have been made. We're moving up. We have this base up here, the Coral Hunter team with another Fulgurite base, which we've dealt with before. And here is the force that dealt with that, so they should be able to fairly shortly make good work of that. But I do want to just try and capture the zones nearby, so if anything does go horrifically wrong, we have a couple of repairs on hand. However, we can't spend too much longer. We've only got 37 minutes until the next council meeting, so we might run into the risk of being forced out of this war prematurely. Yeah, they've sent another one of these after us. Unfortunately for them, that is tiny. And, I mean, they might be going for a ram here, but other than that, I don't think they're going to get too much damage on us. Are they going for the ram? No, not quite. They just pulled away at the very last second. They could have done a little bit of work if it was just a ram, to be entirely honest. We didn't do enough damage to them by the time they reached us, but nope, was not to be. Ask and you will receive. We've found the Gigawatt. I am terrified, frankly, of this thing, because I know it's a pretty significant force in the Lightning Hood's arsenal. I'm gonna spawn in both my craft here, even at the cost of my computer lagging the heck out, because I think we're gonna need it. That is a serious piece of kit. I don't know what we really have in terms of a chance. I think we should be okay in the end, but it might cost us initially. That's so many blocks falling off. We've taken a significant amount of midships damage, but that's not actually the worst damage that we could take, to be entirely honest. We are going to start absolutely whacking them with missiles shortly. Hopefully we can take out those frontal missile systems quickly enough that they stop being such a problem, and they're kind of looking like they might beach themselves. No, maybe not. It would be good if they did, to be entirely honest. I would definitely not complain at that. We got a lot of fire damage ticking along now. I think we might also be slightly on fire, to be entirely honest, but it is what it is. We've got some shells coming in. They're not the most accurate, especially because this thing kind of drifts everywhere it goes. It makes it quite difficult for these shells to land when they take a little while to get to the target, to be entirely honest. Hopefully the destroyer's fire missiles are adding a nice little complement to our arsenal here. Those are always a nice little damage over time benefit. I think those lasers are looking a little bit weedier than they did before, to be entirely honest. So, ooh, they're definitely looking weedier now. There's no lasers coming out of the Gigawatt. They are at 90% health. And I know they've got some particle cannons at the back there that could definitely still pose a threat. We're kind of hoping that those are out, and I genuinely don't know how to tell. We'll only probably know if they shoot us. Those are a couple of our fire missiles coming back in, which is good to see that they're still firing. We're at 93% on this ship. We look like we are... Okay, 2 of our turrets are still firing. This one has lost its firing pieces, weirdly enough. But this is all still working down here. So that's the main expense of the guns. If we've de-armed them, that's fine. We can lose a bit of our weaponry so long as it's not costing us an arm and a leg to stay in this fight. And you can see how fast we drain materials in full wartime power. When the engines are on this thing, they are really, really chugging through a lot of power. It's dead in the water now. It should struggle to float after we start chunking off a little bit of the, I think it's, yeah, light alloy on the outside that's keeping it afloat. Inside, I know they've got quite a lot of heavy armor and metal, so, ooh, look at how much we've cored out the interior. That'll be the heat shells doing their thing. Which is really, really nice to see. And here at the back, we've got a big particle cannon system, which, to be honest, it looks mostly intact, but it only takes a couple of blocks for these things to be destroyed. And as you can see, there are a couple of blocks missing, so they're probably unable to fire those. Here are some of the big missiles. I don't know what happened there. Nothing seemed to happen at all. That is a pretty promising showing, to be entirely honest. I thought this would be one of the hardest things that we will fight at the difficulty that I'm at. I'm not at the highest difficulty. Please, God, don't expect me to be on the highest difficulty yet. Maybe in the future. I'm not that good. But that is a victory for us and a significant weapon of the Deepwater Guard? Have I said Deepwater Guard all this time? It's the Lightning Hoods. It's the Lightning Hoods. It's not but that is sinking, and it is glorious to see. Come on, get on with it now. I'm bored. Yeah, I mean, damage report is not too bad, to be entirely honest. This is our resource storage. You can see they've managed to just about get through, but they didn't actually destroy any of the material containers. They've taken out a fair bit of our laser array, which also has a bit of a connection in here. It's a little bit more, which isn't too bad. They did take out one of our secondary turrets, but they aren't too useful against big craft like the Gigawatt anyway. They're kind of there to fight against flyers, and they also act as anti-munitions. Honestly, I might swap them out eventually. They're kind of more expensive than they're worth, but I think the biggest loss is we've lost the mantlets on the front of the turret, but if they're going to knock out the mantlets, there's not a lot we can do to stop that. You know, you have to have the gun face out of the weapon. That's ultimately a fact of life. And while we win that big old fight down to the south, up to the north, our task force of 3 destroyers are taking out another one of these bases. But that is gonna be all for today. Hopefully next time we can take out the rest of the Lightning Hoods, or at least get into a peaceful situation with them. If we get the opportunity to go against the Onyx Watch, even though they're on the other side of the Empire, I might go for it, but it might also just be better to finish off the Lightning Hoods. The nice part about the Lightning Hoods is they serve as somebody else to keep the other factions in the game distracted, so that gives us an opportunity to kind of take a little bit more land, buy ourselves a little bit more time, because going up against somebody like the Scarlet Dawn is probably not going to end well for us right now. We don't really have any weapons that have the capability of doing that. But if you did enjoy this one, don't forget to leave a comment, leave a like, or subscribe, and that's all. We're gonna leave you with this thing just burning and falling to pieces, because that's, you know, that's what's happening. Bye-bye. And as always, a huge thank you to YouTube super supporters Edwin, Yoki, Corvoid, Prince Casper 33, Flimsy Steve, Proto Series 1000, Eldoge, YT 3744, Marlon Gwekin, Cruiser 25, Cody Fox, Peter Holmes, Peter Seifert, Camgem 135, Stug 3, and Terra. And a huge thank you to all the regular tier supporters as well.